I just like to further introduce very important dignitaries on the Zoom. We have Dr. Olusegun Mimiko, the former governor of Ondo State. He is already on the Zoom too. Please, ladies and gentlemen, these are progressive governors who have stayed with us continuously. Please, a welcoming clap for Dr. Olusegun Mimiko. We have also Precious Elekema, who is also on the Zoom. He is speaking to us from the United States of America. Quite a number of them are speaking from far away, but because they believe in this cause, they believe in Nigeria, and they believe that the right thing should be done. That is why these eminent Nigerians have identified with us in our cause to make sure that Nigeria is good, acceptable, and working for the people of Nigeria. Thank you. As we continue to try to work on time, we would expect architect to be on a standby, and everybody, when we are starting this program, we already start with the second stanza of the national anthem. So if you can remember it, or you want to Google it so that our voice could be louder, because today is the 1st of October, which is an independent day of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Green and white all the way. So, ladies and gentlemen, please get set while our architect prepare to go ahead with his opening speech.
Thank you, Dr. Tanko Salisu Yunusa. We have asked the sound team to put the national anthem in place, Rockview Hotel. We may have to take that before the opening prayers. We want to start with the live transmission, and we have about 7 minutes to go to that time. But then, we hope that we'll have the sound people. I don't know if they are ready for the national anthem. Architect, are they ready for the national anthem? If they are ready. And the Zoom team, I don't know why we are not on screen. Why we from this hall are not on screen. So, no, I'm saying that why the program is not on screen. Okay, that's all right. Fantastic. I hope not just sit you are showing, and you are showing speakers and so on and so forth. We need to get this right. You need to focus, please. Thank you, Zoom. You need to focus. Thank you. God bless you. Well, we are waiting. I don't know, we still have distinguished participant in, Dr. Tanko Yunusa. Where is Barrister Adewale? Is he here? He's not here. Okay. All right, thank you. I don't know if we have left anybody. I have Barrister Ike in the house. Here from Ajia, Miriam Ina Siroma, that Ajia Zinab Mena will be joining us very soon. She's here. I wouldn't know. Oh, can she stand up for recognition, please? Oh, former minister, you are welcome. Can you come up here to where we have Dr. Lubumi Usim here? Maybe at some point we may have to bring, there's a second row here. We may have to bring you up.
I just want to quickly recognize the presence of Dr. Monday Ubani, former VP of MBA. Oh, okay, thank you very much, Adli. All right. We await also the president of Bari. Because of his consistency and his doggedness, so we have to recognize him the more. All right.
Thank you, Dr. Tanko Yunusa. Today is a great day, and I know Professor Patu told me set. Dr. Attahiru Jega is also set, but we want to take, yes, I think the sound people are set. We can take the national anthem, and then we want the Zoom to focus the eye table. We want the Zoom to focus the eye table here, please. The national anthem, please. in free peace and unity. We can be seated, please. Thank you very much, sound team. Ezekiel, Hector, we will have to call on you now. I hear we have 5 minutes left for the live transmission, but then while you are leading us in the national prayers, we can cover that time. I hope AIT is set, because we are on now, and after this prayer, I'll be taking the opening remarks by Professor Attahiru Jega, former chairman of the INEC, and also our own former president of ASU, academic staff of Nigerian universities. In the days of the struggle, real struggle, Babangida days, 1992, 1991, 1992. He's here seated. He has a lot of experience to share with us on what to do. And today also we'll be forming a major coalition, a major national coalition that will work and strive to mobilize Nigeria and pressurize government into adopting what we call electronic transmission of election results. We are good to go. Please, can we get seated? Please, let's be seated as we come in. Architect Ezekiel, it's your turn to come and lead us to God through our national prayers. Thank you. Architect Ezekiel. A round of applause for
you. Thank you very much for this awesome privilege. Immediately after this prayer, we're going to have Mr. Chairman's opening remarks. And I will not use 5 minutes to do opening prayer. Luckily for me, we have about 2 minutes. Why there's a little delay is such that Mr. Chairman cannot start a remark when the transmission has not started. So please, the next few seconds is just for us to buy time. Once it's 3 o'clock on the dot, we will start the national prayers. And then immediately after that, Mr. Chairman will have opening remarks. So my time tells me that it is about 58, so that's about 2 minutes to go. And then, no, they cannot join in. They say they will join by 3 o'clock on the dot. So, and the chairman's speech cannot be carried in half. And 2 minutes. But the AIT crew, please, can you indicate that you are set to go? Because you must carry the chairman's remark from the beginning. That your clock was very deceptive. Hotel, thanks for removing it. So, is there anybody that can confirm with the AIT crew that they are good, or they are good to go by 3 in a minute's time? And please, would like to appeal that we have a certain amount of time allocated. So when we come to the floor for suggestions or for contributions, let us be extremely laconic. Let us keep to time so that every contribution will be captured while we have a live transmission. I think that this is where we should, at this point, AIT, please, who is there? Who gives me the cue? Sorry? Okay, you want to introduce somebody? Okay. While we wait for just a minute before we go on air, I want to recognize the presence of Apostle Esther Egai, if I hope I pronounced the name right. Ego. Oh, okay. Thank you very much, ma'am. To Mrs. Nancy Henry, who is also here. Please a round of applause for them, please. Thank you. There is one indefatigable, I don't know whether to call him a young man again, Dr. Chike Okogu. Which young man? Please leave that alone. Please a big round of applause for him. He is one man that inspires a lot of us. Definitely it's 3 o'clock. So please, shall we have the national prayers? It would be wise for us to stand, please. O God of creation, direct our noble cause and guide our leaders right. Help our youth the truth to know, in love and honesty to grow, and living just and true, great lofty heights attain, to build a nation where peace and justice shall reign. Amen. Amen. Thank you. Thank you very much. With the permission of the chairman, I'd like to read out our program of events. Of course, we have the introduction, which we have been doing a while ago. The national anthem, we have the opening prayer by our chairman, Professor Attahiru Jega and Dr. Lisa Agbakoba. We have a welcome speech by Professor Pat Utomi. We have a goodwill message by statesmen cut across the world. Key speakers, intervention and proposals by the leaders of conscience. Then we have the resolution and communique. Launching of a new national coalition on electoral reform, ADD, and inauguration of the National Coordinating Committee. 7, we have refreshment and fundraising. And 8, we have vote of thanks by our revered chair, Olawale Okuniyi, who is the LOC secretary of this event. Then we'll have a closing remark. 10, we have inaugural meeting of the National Coordinating Committee on Electoral Reform. Ladies and gentlemen, we have 2 good hours plus to be live on the independent AIT and Kaftan TV to speak to Nigerians, to speak to the world that yes, Nigeria is preparing very strongly to take its rightful place in the Committee of Nations. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Dr. Tanko Yunisa. Now I have the pleasure to bring to the microphone our leader, very indefatigable and indomitable, a professor of political science, my teacher, former INEC chairman, the most credible in history of Nigeria, and then former president of our own academic staff union of Nigerian University. He's no other person than our own erudite, Professor Attahiru Jega.
Our distinguished invited guests on the high table, our elders, our colleagues, our compatriots, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to you all. On behalf of my colleague, the co-chairman of today's event, Olisa Agbakoba, SAN, I welcome all of you to this event, and we thank the National Consultative Front for giving us the opportunity to moderate the discussion today. No doubt, the chosen theme for today's discussion is quite apt, not only as one of the most topical issues of current discourses in our country, but especially as one of the important issues on the future of our country. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the legitimacy of the Nigerian state has no doubt taken significant bashing in the last few years. Citizens increasingly question the credibility of the ways and the means by which elected public officials get elected and assume leadership positions. They are increasingly disappointed by what elected officials do with power, and they are also profoundly frustrated and angry with the failure of those who preside over the state and its governance processes to satisfy their basic needs and aspirations. Be this in the area of socio-economic provisioning, in the area of security of lives and property, or in the management of the economy of the country in order to drive employment, productivity, economic opportunities for the citizens, or even in the management of diversity in a plural society and a federal system. These systemic failures obviously are attributable to the failure of leadership and therefore the processes through which we bring these leaders into power. The failure of those in power to enable the Nigerian state to discharge its obligations to the citizens has today made Nigeria to be one of the most poorest, most insecure, poorly managed, and fragile states in the world. One of the ways, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, one of the ways to begin to halt the decay is to bring remarkable improvements in the ways and the means by which public officials are elected. The electoral process must have integrity to enable people with integrity to be elected freely and fairly by the people. A situation in which vandals and bandits commandeer the electoral processes to perpetuate their stranglehold on power and continue to mess the country and its citizens up must be opposed, must be struggled against, and must be reformed. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, manual transmission of election results has been one of the key areas in which reckless, unpatriotic, and self-serving politicians have undermined the integrity of the Nigerian electoral process. Bringing remarkable integrity to the Nigerian electoral process, therefore, would no doubt require the jettisoning of the traditional obtuse manual transmission of results and its replacement with using appropriate technology with electronic transmission of results. Globally, this has been proven to add remarkable value to the integrity of elections, to the quality of citizens' choices in elections, and the minimization of litigation and conflicts associated with electoral outcomes. Hence, electronic transmission of results also ultimately enhances the quality of governance by improving the responsibility and responsiveness of elected officials who would be compelled to see citizens' votes and choices as truly counting in determining electoral outcomes. It is therefore necessary that all patriotic Nigerian citizens join hands and work together to draw the attention of the members of the National Assembly to respect Nigerians' demand for the use of electronic transmission of results and therefore to effect necessary reforms to the electoral legal framework to bring this about. The time to do this is now. We must not lose this opportunity. Therefore, we must commend the National Consultative Front for organizing this forum to give us the opportunity to establish a national coalition of citizens in order to conduct advocacy and bring pressure to bear and the understanding and the enlightenment to the members of our National Assembly so that they can effect the necessary constitutional and electoral act amendment processes to give way and room for electronic transmission of results. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I would also like to add that although the meeting today focuses on electronic transmission of results, when we carefully examine the draft law before the National Assembly, there are also at least two other, to my mind, key areas of concern which we must take together in our advocacy along with electronic transmission of results. The legal document before the National Assembly now under consideration, that is the Electoral Amendment Bill, has raised the thresholds for funding of campaigns for elections. And unless we ensure that there is a review of the established threshold in this draft bill, then obviously we will be allowing a situation in which our democracy will be turned into a plutocracy, where only the rich can actually contest for elections. There is absolutely no reason why a president should be allowed to spend 5 billion naira, or even the slight amendment they have now made to 2 billion naira for presidential elections. Absolutely no reason. Because where can they get this money if not from public coffers? So we must also ensure that members of the National Assembly do not commercialize elections and do not make the contest for elections out of the reach of ordinary citizens. The second other issue to my mind, and there may be many others, relates to what we have seen in the 2019 elections about how desperate politicians, reckless politicians with impunity hijack electoral results by literally putting guns on the heads of returning officers to declare results in their favor. This is a very dangerous trend, and unless we get the National Assembly to legislate against this, and in particular give the Independent National Electoral Commission the power to review elections that have these kinds of incidences, really they are going to destroy the whole essence of the integrity of elections. We have seen this at least in one state in the 2019 elections, where a senator, hijacked, either induced or coerced a returning officer and literally put a gun to his head to make a return in his favor, on the understanding that they will sort things out at the election tribunal. And literally that was what they did. So it's very, very important that such results are not allowed to even be declared. And the Independent National Electoral Commission need to be given the power to determine and investigate these kinds of results before a return is made. So the whole essence of electoral reform is to improve the integrity of the electoral process. And from what we see in the draft bill before the National Assembly, if care is not taken and advocacy is made and pressure is brought before them to effect necessary amendments further before they pass this bill, actually the bill in the end will become an act which will undermine the integrity of the electoral process rather than improve that integrity. So it is very, very important, it is necessary that while we pursue, and really electronic transmission of result is the way to go. The whole world is going in that direction. And it brings remarkable value addition to the integrity of the electoral process. But we must take some of these other reforms along in order to really improve the integrity of Nigerian elections. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, lastly, I would like to say that no doubt this summit is timely to help forge that required common front to engage members of the National Assembly to do the needful in doing credible electoral reforms for us to have credible elections in this country. I wish us fruitful deliberations. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Ladies and gentlemen, please another loud round of applause to our own revered Professor Attahiru Jega. He has set the standard, he has set the ball rolling. And of course, we expect people to add more to it and make it more stronger. Let our voice be heard. We want credible elections in Nigeria so that we can have the right peg in the right hole, and the end of it had good governance. It at this point now, I will call on Professor. Okay, you want to do some introduction? Okay.
Why our chairman comes to the microphone, that's Professor Utomi, we like to recognize Barrister Shetu Alpha. A round of applause for Barrister Shetu Alpha. The wife of Ibrahim Alpha of blessed memory. And then the national woman leader of PLFI, Madam Ezegu, is in the house. A round of applause for her, please. Our chairman is here. He's always been chair, former presidential candidate, and he's also an eminent Nigerian, first-class economist, international economics. Those that, when you put them in charge of Nigeria, Nigeria will be transformed immediately. But before I bring him, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, of NC Front, I have in the house Barrister Adewale Adebayo, a very committed NC Front leader. Please, let's jam our hands together for Barrister Adebayo. You are welcome, sir. Yes, I have the honor to bring to the microphone and the podium our leader, Professor Patrick Okedinachi Utomi. A round of applause for him. You're welcome, sir.
The co-chairs of this event, Professor Attahiru Jega and Dr. Lisa Bwakoba, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Today, we mark 61 years of independent national life. On behalf of the NC Front, I bring you felicitations of independence tidings. My hope and prayer is that the spirit of this anniversary and initiatives we shall give life with our words to today will rekindle hope in the promise of Nigeria and the aspirations of our compatriots. Nigeria will rise up again. I'm aware, like most of you, that our country has never been as divided as it is today. Not even the civil war, which I experienced from both sides, saw our country polarized as it is today. I would like to charge all of us to commit to bridging these divides. Our world, not just Nigeria, is being torn apart by politics of emotions, dividing people up into an us versus them emotion excess. Often, eschewing reason and rational conversation, which the contemporary German philosopher Jürgen Habermas likes to point to as the core of democracy and modernity. I want to encourage us to draw lessons on these debilitating divisions and the dysfunctions that they breed from the work that has been done at Harvard in its Center for Moral Cognition, which is led by a professor called Joshua Green. In his work, well marshaled in his book, Moral Tribes, Emotion, Reason, and the Gap Between Us and Them. And has been also giving further impetus in the remarkable wisdom of Malcolm Gladwell when he engages the question of how we deal with people we do not know in his reflection on talking with strangers. Unfortunately, most of us do not seem to know how to talk to strangers and do not embrace the mantra of rational public conversation. And so emotions make small misunderstandings a source of major conflict. And that is why our country is so divided today. My view is that these divisions flow largely from a failure of leadership. Our charge to leadership in the future that we seek to unveil today must be that job one is making all feel at home in the Nigerian tent. And that, like the words of our Independence National Anthem, though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand, that we continue to soldier on, knowing that that which binds us is greater than that which could possibly divide us. The motivation for today's gathering of we the people may be the future, the great possibilities of tomorrow, but the impetus for it is today. It is not hard to find that no sane Nigerian in good conscience is pleased with where our country is today. Our spectacular failure on all the SDG goals, the Brookings Institution study, who showed we have the biggest concentration of absolutely poor people in one country on the planet. Even the Bill and Melinda Gates study, which suggests that between us and Congo DRC, we may give the world 40% of its most miserable people in the next few years. All of this frightened about the current Nigerian condition. And we know of what the insecurity we're dealing with has come to be. Now, every day, somebody small, somebody big, somebody celebrated is killed in our country. And it goes just like another story. Just like that. This must stop. And we beg everybody in position of authority that they have a duty to man and to God to stop this. Yet, our roads cannot be traveled because of these security problems. And still, those roads that are not traveled are not motorable, even when they are so little traveled. This very week, drivers around the country are going on strike, are going picketing, because they say the roads of our country are immotorable. In the American journey, Patrick Henry is remembered for his cry, "Give me liberty or give me death." We have arrived at a Patrick Henry moment in Nigerian history. It is time to shout out. In truth, we are dying. We are being killed by bandits, armed robbers, headsmen, terrorists, disease, and hunger. Deep, sadly, very deeply sadly, all of these are happening in the face of a deep pool of talent, male and female, resources, solid and liquid, and a culture of enterprise that our people embrace. Our weak underbelly has been the absence of political imagination and goal displacement, in which power often trumps purpose. Too many people want power. Too little of them have thought about what to do with power to advance the common good. The time is now to say enough is enough, and for us to begin again, to start afresh so that Nigeria will rise up again. We have all to set forth with passion, with the zeal of a Patrick Henry. So why do we perform so badly as a country? There's a near universal acceptance that Nigeria performs badly and is punching below its weight. Why is this so? And how can our mission for today alter this sad course of travel? There are many reasons why nations fail. Countries are poor and strategic relevance gets diminished. Notorious among these reasons are weak institutions, challenged leadership, collapse of culture, and a failure to invest in human capital, as well as inspire the habit of entrepreneurship and creative problem solving. Sadly for us, Nigeria suffers from all of these infections. We cannot engage these problems in a democracy if we do not have political parties with certain values. These values must be built up in a way that political parties help citizens pursue their dream of happiness and material progress. There is a consensus that our dominant political parties lack a distinct sense of the world they want to move us to, and a modus operandi for getting us to where we deserve and desire. These parties are perceived as special purpose vehicles of individual owners for acquiring power for personal gain through machine politics. Impunity is rife in their conduct, and internal democracy is clearly non-existent, as those who own the SPV contend for who is utmost in the flexing of the instruments of outrage. This phenomenon is currently writ large in the parties. As all can see from recent reporting of ward elections, simple ward elections in the last few weeks in our country, there's hardly honor amongst thieves. As power was tested by the ability to write the result and submit it even before any elections take place or any voting takes place, and with no care for the interest of others, is winner take all, me, myself, and I. As citizens united to make democracy work for the advance of the common good, our many webinars at the NC front and committee meetings and social media conversations propel us to seek to mobilize Nigerians to participate in reforming the terms of engagement in a collective leadership approach, different from the despotic mood that defines political parties today. It is to project these desires that the Committee of the NC Front for Political Parties is proposing the merger of 3 of the leading political parties outside of the PDP and APC to merge with a plan to absorb other parties and righteous wings of APC and PDP. We have hope that an RPDP and an RAPC and the others will blend under the entrepreneurial people's capitalism ideas of a center-left ideological platform that our people are prescribing. This business-friendly, worker dignifying political party focus on using perspective planning and limited industrial policy around factor endowments through which we can dominate certain global value chains should hopefully banish poverty faster than the experience of China and Brazil in recent narratives. The purpose of social organization here will be to empower the people through policies anchored on the principles of subsidiarity and solidarity to produce their way out of poverty, infuse culture with values of the common good and the dignity of the human person. Financing this new platform flows from a desire to set an example. Professor Attahiru Jega has already talked about big challenges in the law being proposed in terms of financing of elections. Clearly, the cat left out of the bag a long time ago already. Nigerian elections are simply not accepted the way they are. We must enforce campaign financing rules even after applying what Professor Jega has suggested. Because right now, it's a combination of state capture and cash and carry. This has stopped being a democracy. This is a biocracy. We would like to open ownership of this new political party or parties to all members of the party and the Nigerian people in general. We want to encourage membership dues and crowdfunding. And we want to start the example from here and invite people to own the changes we want to make by being certain that they have financed it and not some godfathers who buy so that we may all be their slaves. We are therefore calling on parties everywhere, people everywhere to contribute through crowdfunding. I'm therefore inviting the people of Nigeria to support party building, the accounts of which will be controlled by council elders accountable to boards of trustees. And this will enable us to break the traditions of how political parties have been financed in Nigeria. On electoral process reforms, the fading legitimacy of the Nigerian state, just as Professor Jega had said, it comes from most Nigerians perceiving, rightly or wrongly, that those in elected positions are usurpers who foisted themselves on the people through the abuse of the electoral process and outright rigging. And this has diminished the legitimating attributes of elections, the critical pillar of constitutional democracy. The NCF will therefore wage a political battle on the electronic transmission of results and electoral process reforms until we can reinvest legitimacy into the ballot box and bridge the trust deficit, which currently severely hampers policy implementation in Nigeria. And we have said to ourselves that this must be a non-stop massive attack program. We draw, as I have said severally, from the effort of the Roman general Fabius Quintus Maximus, who looked the great army of Hannibal of Carthage in the face and knew that they were overwhelmed by the raw power of the army, but chipped away at that army until they brought it down. The NCF and the Nigerian people must not look at the apparent power of those who seek to continue to enslave us. They must be ready to do non-stop battle, chipping away at that power until the people triumph. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me conclude. My personal theme song for more than 20 years has been Nigeria will rise up again. I am absolutely certain that the things that will start here today will lead us to our country rising up again. Let me close by paying tribute to our leaders past, heroes who made a difference to the possibilities of the dream of a new Nigeria, and to say that their labors will not be in vain. Thank you, and please come to this with everything you've got, because our children deserve a better country than we have today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A round of applause for Professor Pat Okedinachi Utomi. That's a most profound speech coming after the speech of the chairman, Professor Attahiru Jega. A round of applause once again. Well, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I have the permission of Mr. Chairman to do further introduction of those who have just joined us. Some have gone to Nikon Luxury Hotel, and I guess our secretariat should speak with the people at Nikon to direct our guest here. It was a sudden change. We must apologize for that, though. I have in the house a very eminent Nigerian, a media mogul, somebody who has been very generous to the struggle of the Nigerian peoples. He is no other person than our own High Chief Raymond Dokwesi. A round of applause, please. And coming in also is our brother and friend and comrade in the trenches, a distinguished senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He's no other person than our own distinguished senator, Shehu Sani. Senator Shehu Sani was in the trenches, he was in prison during the Abuja era, and he has come to share his experience. We are waiting on the Zoom. Very eminent Nigerians, Dr. Obi Ezekwesili, who is raring to go to speak to us. And Mr. Chairman has said nobody is permitted to spend more than 5 minutes, because we have about 21 persons on our list. And we don't want to be, so nobody is permitted. If you can do 3 minutes, by the instruction of Mr. Chairman, we'll be good. We keep to electoral reform process, electronic transmission. That is the subject here. Our leaders will step down after this meeting to meet. That's a different ballgame. Professor Utomi has hinted that our leaders here will still step down. But for now, it is for us to deal with the electoral reforms. And by the authority of Mr. Chairman, Secretariat, are we bringing former Minister Dr. Obi Ezekwesili, as she said, to do her 5 minutes or 3, 5 maximum. Dr. Obiageli Ezekwesili, former Minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. A round of applause for her, please. Dr. Obi Ezekwesili. Can we have a Zoom, please? We need voice volume. She's on Zoom. The screen is here, but the iTable cannot see that. But then, can we have volume, please? Can we have volume, please? Can we have volume, please? Can we have volume, please?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thanks for the invitation to be a part of this event today. I'd like to state that clearly the words of Margaret Mead should always guide us. She did say that we must never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change their world. In fact, she did add that it is the only thing that ever has. So I do believe in collective action of citizens. It's been a part of my life all my days. I want to yield my floor to my dear sister Remi Shunaya, who is on this call on Zoom also, because she has the full details of what we've been doing on the matter of electoral transmission of vote. Of what we've been Over to you, Remy.
Thank you very much. My dear sister Obi, it's a pleasure to be here and to have this opportunity to share with everybody here what we have been doing in fixed politics. I co-chaired one of the three work study groups of fixed politics, that part of it that is concerned with constitutional and electoral reforms. And during the public hearings that were held, we submitted we made submissions to the various committees. In respect of the electronic transmission of results itself, we in fixed politics have decided to have a change.org petition targeting at least 1 million votes. What we have done is to write up our demand that the Nigerian legislature should amend the Electoral Act to include the unconditional electronic transmission of votes cast during an election. It was a shock to many Nigerians to see that the senators voted against the bill on July 15th, 2021, instead passing an alternative provision which states that INEC may consider the electronic transmission of results provided the national coverage is adjudged to be adequate and secure by the National Communications Commission and approved by the National Assembly. What this means is that the responsibility for determining how our elections are conducted is being taken from INEC. We do not believe that this is proper. And we know that also the following day on July 16th, the House of Reps also voted saying that voting at elections and transmission of results shall be in accordance with the procedure determined by the commission. So neither did the House also come out clearly to say we are in support of the electronic transmission of results. That is why we believe that it is very important for Nigerians to express themselves on this matter. And that is why we have decided to mount and publish this change.org petition. It has been drafted. It is about to be published, to be uploaded. And we already have the support of about 100 individuals, NGOs, CSOs, and other bodies in support of this. So it is not only important, the point we are seeking to make, it is not only important that votes are ascertained at the polling station. Indeed, the point has been made by those who have spoken already. Votes, yes, need to be ascertained at the polling station, but also they must be seen to correctly and accurately reflect what has actually been done by the people. That is, the final count must also be adjudged
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, and thank you for being invited to be part of this epoch-making event. I think this is a timely and important summit, and to thank the National Consultative Front for being behind this initiative, which I think all Nigerians are eagerly waiting to hear, and to enable us push this very important piece of legislation to its logical conclusion. Let me start by reminding us of what Professor Utomi said in his presentation when he reminded us that the fading legitimacy of the Nigerian state derives from the fact that most Nigerians perceive, rightly or wrongly, that those elected in positions are usurpers who foisted themselves on the people through the abuse of the electoral process and outright rigging. This has diminished the legitimating attributes of elections and the critical pillar of constitutional democracy. Professor Jega went on to admonish us. He said that we should not only be concerned about the question of how the actual transmission of the results itself is done, but we should be looking at other related matters. One of the matters that has caught my attention is the fact that this whole exercise is going to be putting a lot of responsibility on INEC. And the question is the integrity of INEC itself. And this raises for me one fundamental question, and I will be very brief in raising that point. How sure? Why did the question of the NCC arise at all? It arose because we knew that transmission required a certain medium for getting to a certain bank or database. How sure are we that when we finally get this process through, that the National Electronic Register, which is the one register that holds all these results, itself will be a subject of something other than what we ourselves envisage? So my point, therefore, is that in thinking about the electronic transmission of the data itself, we must also think about the ability to custody the data that is transmitted and the ability to retrieve that data at the time when it is needed. Actually, the law envisages that we will retrieve it and use it in the processes of the court to defend the cases that come before it. This is absolutely important, because there are many cases today we hear, let us win by any means, and then the courts will ensure victory for us. Sorry, okay, thank you. This has actually affected even the very context. I have heard people say, if you want to win any election in Nigeria, start with the courts. Be sure that the courts are with you before you even go. And I think the SAN will address us on where the courts have come in here to be part of the problem of either enhancing or undermining the constitutional democracy that we have. So to be honest, I think as important as the transmission is, we must also be worried about the ability to sustain a system that makes that integrity go throughout the process. So that the courts ourselves, I think today we have come to a conclusion that we have also turned the whole judicial system. The whole thing around politics has also impacted very badly on the judicial system and its independence. So to retrieve all of this back and have a system that works for all of us and ensure the integrity of the transmission from the polling unit right up to the system where it ensures victory and victory for the rightful winner, I think we must think about what happens within INEC itself and its ability to ensure that the database is one with integrity and value. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Nkoyotoyo. That's very thought-provoking. Ambassador Nkoyotoyo has been in the trenches in the civil society on the electoral matters. Leaders of thought, Okadige is a former governor of Anambra State is here. I just want to recognize you. You are in Yoruba land. They say Egunlani Kenyibale. That is the biggest masquerade that always come last. That is Yoruba. But now, well, we have Governor Mimiko on Zoom, but it's not, they can't come yet. Therefore, we have to take Yakpaka Fiki of Edo land. Is no other person than our own veteran of the UDD, Chief Mike Ozekome. A round of applause for him, please. The Akpakpa Fiki of Edo land.
Thank you very much. This is very timely, this talk shop today, so as to find the way forward. One of our greatest problems is not learning from history. Because history is the yesterday, or rather the today that we discussed yesterday, which will enable us peer into tomorrow. That is why the Oyibo man who made the car has a large windscreen in front of the car so that you can see into the future. But beside the car, you have a small mirror to enable you peer into the past where you are coming from. We do not follow that. That is why we are like the Bourbons of European history that have learnt nothing and forgotten nothing. What are we talking about? Elections, democracy, which, as defined by Abraham Lincoln in 1863, is government of the people, by the people and for the people. That means the difference between democracy and plutocracy, kakitocracy, gerontocracy, theocracy, and other crazies is that it is the people themselves that voluntarily, independently elect their leaders. When that does not happen, then you are having any other crazy but democracy. Now, are we practicing democracy? No. At best, we are practicing electionocracy. That is my new term for it. What do I mean by electionocracy? Every 4 years, Nigerians go to the polls to carry out a ritual of so-called electing their leaders. But they never actually elect them anyway, because the leaders select themselves. They are state captors. They have captured the state. And then when they are put there, or when they put themselves there, they use the first 1.5 years to fight for their legitimacy through courts of law. And when the courts finally deliver judgment, about 1 or 2 years later, they use 1 year to go around their states like governors, visit the people, do 1 or 2 kilometers of road tarring, and they celebrate it with conviviality at Ilogu Pokiti dances, whose cost to organize is even more than the road project itself. So 3 years are gone, or 2.5 years are gone. The next 1.5 years, they have started again the ritual of election campaigns. So we are practicing not democracy, but electionocracy. That is one. The second reason is that the people themselves have been made so vulnerable that they are ready to take 1,000 naira and a bag or a mudu of salt or gari or rice to enthrone tyranny for the next 4 years. It was Stanley who gave that example. He said, let me tell you, during his Marxist days, he said, let me tell you how a gurula terrorizes the people and still made them follow him. He called for a fowl, a chicken. He took the chicken and plucked out the feathers one by one. And the chicken was bleeding, croaking. When he had finished plucking away the feathers, he dropped the chicken to run away. The chicken dwaddled away And as it was going away, Stanley put his hand in his pocket and brought out some bread crumbs and did like this. And that chicken came back again to the trousers of Stanley. And then he gave the chicken the bread crumbs. And the chicken started eating the bread crumbs. Bleeding. He said, you see, gentlemen and ladies, this is how leaders govern the people. First, put them down there, impoverish them, inflict maximum pains on them. Then when they are helpless and humbled, you give them crumbs that fall from your master's table. They will still come back to you again and eat the crumbs. That precisely is the sorry state of Nigeria today. So what is the quarrel about? We say we want to do elections to elect our leaders. Government of the people, for the people, and by the people. INEC in its 25-page position number 1 of 2021 says, we are ready. We have power to transmit results, electronic results across the country. We have the ICT, capacity and capability. But people in the Senate, 309 senators, people in the House of Representatives, about 360, decide that they can whip more than the bereaved. That they must introduce section 53, subsection 3 of the bill before the National Assembly. Which is that, oh yes, INEC can transmit results insofar as such results are judged. Insofar as the NCC, the National Communications Commission, are judges that they have enough coverage. And next say we have the enough coverage. And what did the bill say? Oh yes, INEC can transmit results insofar as such results are judged. Insofar as the NCC, the National Communications Commission, are judges that they have enough coverage. And next say we have the enough coverage. And what did the bill say? He said then, if NCC says that, then you come back to the National Assembly and tell us NCC says you can go ahead. Thus, defeating section 153, subsection 1 of the Constitution, which says that INEC shall be an independent body, not subject to the control of or direction by any other person or authority. That is what section 153, section 158, subsection 1 of the Constitution says. Is there? INEC shall not be subject or subjected or directed by any other person or authority or body, because it has to be independent to carry out its functions. Nigerians, please, in the name of God, senators, House of Representative members, we beg you, we genuflect, put power aside. We know you are all state captors. You have captured the state. We know you converge together in the night, even when we see you people arguing in the afternoon. You converge in the night like witches and wizards in a coven. For once, put the interest of Nigeria at work, that we need electronic transmission of results, so that those results that are mangled at the polling unit, and when they finally leave there, they are again remangled at the ward level. When they leave there, they are again remangled at the local government level, then again remangled at the state level, before the father and mother of all mangling takes place at the center in Abuja. For God's sake, who is afraid of electronic voting? Only those who want to kill our democracy. God bless you all.
A round of applause for the Apapa Fikiviki himself of Edo land. He's an authority on Nigerian constitution. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chairman, we have on the Zoom a distinguished leader of this country, a former governor of Ondo State, waiting in Ondo town as we speak. And he will be joining us live from Ondo. Put your hands together as I call Governor Olusegun Mimiko to the microphone. Dr. Mimiko, please. Dr. Olusegun Mimiko. Hello, they are not set. Are you here? Zoom, please, you have to wake up. Wake up. Please. Oh, yes. I'll seize your balance. Barrister Adewale is here, also from Ondo, I guess. So we quickly need to bring Barrister Adewale Adebayo, one of the major financiers of the movement, to the microphone to talk to us in 2-3 minutes. Barrister Adebayo, please. A round of applause for him, please. Barrister Adebayo is a practicing lawyer of the Supreme Court of the U.S. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, let me congratulate us on the occasion of our national independence. We have problems, but we don't know how lucky we are. We don't know how lucky we are that we still have a republic. And we need to keep that republic to endure beyond our lifetimes. Usually I don't, in democracy, I don't intellectualize issues. So I'm a follower of late Aminu Kano. So that's the only politician that I've mentally followed in my life. And making an issue too intellectual is not my style. The issue of transmission, electronic transmission of election results, I agree with it. I support it. It's a major and important issue. But in a democracy, in an election process, in a politics, an important issue can be a marginal issue. Because there are so many issues that are important. And if we are asking people whom we represent, because in a democracy, as we claim we're aspiring to, things are done by popularity. And if you ask the people, what do you consider to be the major problem you face, or our electionary process faces, you may be surprised that they will agree to electronic voting, but you may be surprised that it's not the top of their problems. So while we are looking at that narrow issue, which sounds technical, we must realize that there are other important issues that are adjacent to it. Same thing with funding of elections. These are technical issues, because when do you start funding elections? You see, when you start paying people's children's school fees and all those other so-called philanthropy that election system has not started, when do you start counting it? But for those who are technocrats, we can look into the issue. And we're practicing in Nigeria, I practice in the US, and in Nigeria I've been doing election petition all the way to the Nigerian Supreme Court since 2003, during the time of Dr. Gobadia, up to now. So I've done maybe over 1,000 election issues. What I've seen is that we don't understand that unless we have a proper political consensus, there is no technical way to stop crazy, greedy, desperate office holder or office seekers from manipulating the system. We will take electronic voting, we should take it, because it's just common sense. We send money to one another electronically, we check exam results even in the villages electronically. We should not make it, maybe spend 1% of our attention on it. Because when you get it, you are just 1 inch closer to wherever you are going. You still have a ton of problems to deal with. And Every election season, every time, intellectuals come together to discuss issues while the political establishment that we are trying to correct or trying to get out of power are engaging the people on emotional issues. So anytime, my appeal to our leaders, intellectual leaders, are four. Number one, we must understand that as we are fluent intellectually, philosophically, so also do the establishment have their intellectual wing. So they will throw a bone, imagine an issue, and you'll be debating that issue and getting applause for the issues, but those issues are not what they're going to do next. You got to get distracted with those issues. So they will engage you, and intellectually you sound very well, but you are not controlling the major thing going on. So we need to be careful and go and engage the people directly. Second issue is that there is no institution that you interface with politicians that they will not politicize. To start with, if we go to the root of our problem, we don't even need INEC. The existence of INEC is an aberration because honest people don't need INEC. In many countries, elections are conducted at the local government level by honest civil servants. In the department, they take care of it. And I've been in an INEC delegation in 2006, toured the whole of the United States. There is no state election board, there is no federal election board. You go to the counties, you go to the county recorder, the person who records your birth certificate, records your death certificate, also has a way of giving you driver's license, they also give you a voter's card. It is the desperation of the political class that led to creation of INEC, thinking that if you have a big body, then somebody will not be cheating in their local place. INEC itself became the reservoir of cheating. Second point is that as we speak today, if INEC wants to use electronic voting without going to the National Assembly, they can do so. Because constitutionally, unless there's an act of National Assembly forbidding INEC from doing something, INEC inherently has the right to do it. So INEC going to National Assembly say, give me power to do what I can do, is itself very suspicious. At the time, I remember I was in Supreme Court arguing over an election which INEC conducted in Nigerian Supreme Court, over card reader. Remember there was a time we thought the card reader would cure all our problems, or most of our problems. Now, card reader was, okay, I know you can use card reader. The card reader didn't work. Even for President Jonathan, the card reader did not work for him. So we had to bypass the card reader thing. And in many states, the card reader were programmed not to work. So if you spend all your energy pursuing electronic transmission, and on that day, INEC switch off generator, what do? So I don't want us to be chasing shadows like a cat chasing laser lights. Because the people who want to rig the election have people who speak for them in the intellectual circle. And they will give you one marginal issue, you'll be pursuing that one, but the key issue is going there. Let the leaders of Nigeria engage the people. You cannot rig elections without the people. So the people must listen to there's a gap between our intellectuals. When Professor Utomi is giving his lecture, it appeals to me. I understand him. But I don't know somebody who is in manufacturing or Osogbo or Ikare in Ondo State, or someone who is in Bori in River State, or somebody who is in Karamoda is able to understand, because every politics is local. When people are voting for presidents in Nigeria, they are voting according to the situation of the politician around them. So to make the issue very simple, electronic voting, we should get as a right, but it doesn't mean it's going to solve our problem. Then one other thing, I want to give a paradox of it. Paradox, one side of the paradox. Assuming there's no new law, INEC can do electronic voting today and to be lawful. On the other hand, if we solve our political problems, and engage people and have credible people running. If I'm running against Architect Nkoyo, or I'm running against Dr. Esife, he doesn't want to rig, I don't want to rig. I want to win honestly, he wants to win honestly. Why do we have this problem? So I think if you get people into politics, who we have in abundance, every day in Nigeria, I meet very good presidential material up to 20 every day of my life. There's no day I've gone around on a busy day I don't meet people who can be president today, but they're not running. So I can believe that I have run many elections in many capacities. I've never been desperate to win. So if two people who are honorable, who are not desperate to win, run for election, who are just running in the public interest, and they have engagement of the people, I think many of the things we are trying to work out will not be necessary. So a country, I once worked in country in post-conflict societies, and we have done election with a basket. You whip a basket, and you go there and drop paper inside the basket. There is no electronic voting, there is nothing. Nobody is going to come and steal it. So there is no way in a society where money gets missing inside the vault of central bank that electronic voting is going to stop it, or electronic transmission. So I want us to deal with that, let it have it there, not that, so that we don't become like a pariah. People look at us and say, are they mentally stable? How can they not be able to do electronic transmission? It's very simple. But it's not going to stop the problem. Because if the election doesn't hold, because certain persons send talks to go and gun people down or scatter the place, what are you transmitting after that? And if you transmit everything, and you go to the Supreme Court, and the court is interested in one way or the other, not enforcing the law. Because I have done many cases to enforce card reader. The first violator of card reader was INEC itself. INEC officials will conduct elections, not use the card reader. When you go to the Supreme Court to argue the case, they will say, well, card reader is only INEC rule, it's not binding. So, and we don't have an independent justice system. There's no Ministry of Justice that is independent, like any other Ministry of Government. So it is a somewhat challenging to me for people who don't prosecute murder to say they are going to prosecute election campaign funding. People stand in Eagle Square, shoot people in the head. They may not go to jail because the Ministry of Justice may not prosecute the person. How are you going to prosecute something so technical as election finance? So I think the intellectuals should use their energy not to get distracted. Philosophical issues that are setting standards, but the intellectuals must go and reconcile their differences with the people. Because the politicians that we are criticizing are closer to the people, are interacting with them and enforcing them. Thank you.
Thank you, Barrister Adewale Adebayo. That was very, very thought-provoking. Mr. Chairman, please, we need to announce that we are still live on television, and we want each speech here to be limited to 3 minutes. Please, we have got to do that. We've spent more than 1 hour. Quickly, Malam Tanko.
Okay. Thank you very much. Let me quickly announce here. Earlier mentioned that we're going to be live till 5, but our host, our revered Dr. Raymond Tokwensi, has graciously increased the time to 6 p.m., so everybody should be more relaxed at the moment. So I want you to just give a hand. So we have enough time to speak to ourselves and speak to the whole world. It's in that respect that we call on to our revered father, Dr. Emeka Ezife, to speak to us fatherly for those who have already understood the rudiment of Nigeria. Please, a round of applause.
Okwadike Chief Emeka Ezife. You are welcome, sir.
I'm lucky to be here. I listened to Attahiru Jega. I listened to my old friend defining new terms about democracy, and since I don't have so much time, okay. Since I don't have surplus time, I want to go straight to the point I have. Our country, Nigeria, is a gem of a country. In every way, we are gifted. God designed Nigeria to become a superpower and to bring respect and dignity to all blacks on earth. Yes, but man has been messing up God's design. Many of you here know that before the coup, the World Bank made the statement that parts of Nigeria were growing faster than the rest of the world. That was Nigeria coming up. But those who ruled Nigeria from 1966 ruined Nigeria. What has happened? Conscience was made to die. Conscience is dead in Nigeria. And it is not just in a few areas. It is in most areas. And that gives rise to comprehensive corruption. Yes, we are talking about electoral transmission of results. I call upon the leaders here to talk about introducing blockchain technology in our electoral system. Without conscience or with conscience, you cannot affect the result of election if blockchain technology is employed. So any way you look at it, the only way to survive is by introducing blockchain technology which makes sure nobody cheats. But I hope many of us know that the worst is coming to an end. The worst is coming to an end. That's why you gave this summit. God designed something for Nigeria. Man's mess up is messing up. But God does not make a mistake. Therefore, his will must dominate. And Nigeria must rise again. What we need now is a coalition of forces for a new Nigeria. A coalition of forces for a new Nigeria. No matter what you think, you can make contribution to this. Just preach blockchain technology for our elections. And if you cannot cheat, then Nigeria survives. Thank you very much.
Thank you, our leader, a veteran of so many political struggles, Dr. Ezefe. We'd like to thank you. Not quite long, the son of our leader, late leader Malam Barabe Musa entered. We have in our midst Kazim Barabe Musa. A round of applause for him, please. All the way from Kaduna. Kazim Barabe Musa, representing the Barabe Musa dynasty. Yes, we have our mother here because we have to go to our mothers now. We have two of them on the IJB, veteran. One is the wife of our late leader, Madam Siroma, and the second was the mother of the nation, distinguished Madam Sarah.
Sanity Nabawa is on the line, please.
Hello?
From Abuja.
Hello, please, can we have Madam Sarah Jubril come to speak to us now? Sarah Jubril, the mother of the nation.
Our distinguished and honored leaders, fathers and mothers, thank you indeed for honoring this occasion. Because I have just about 3 minutes, I will just simply announce that I feel myself with other parents that are here that we are victims of a conscienceless, agree with Papa Ezefe, because we have a courtroom beyond INEC. And if the courtroom within us is not attended to, we have problems. I am a victim. Parents are victims. Therefore, Nigeria is a victim to a conscienceless system of governance. Why I'm saying so, anyone that is cheating, had no proper training from the roots, from the family. And anyone that gets killed because of cheating or whatever wrongdoing is cheating the breast milk of the mothers that even gave birth to the president, the blood that they generated and made a fetus to grow, and the birth of that child that became everything from presidency to the councilor. It means we have to understand that character is the cornerstone of citizenship. Who is looking into the area of raising and polishing the character or the conscience of the citizens from home, from the school institutions, to the point of when we are matured enough to represent the people. If the conscience was not trained, we are glorifying ignorantees that take oath in the name of the Almighty God, to whom we prayed. And therefore, it will call ourselves a country of controversies and hypocrisy. We just have to accept that. And at this forum, I think we can get a little bit philosophically academic. One, because we have the courtroom that we must nurture. So we become independently honest, not wanting to read. Well, I happen to belong to Justice Must Prevail Party, along with Papa Ezefe. And we have a series of crises, democracy, etc., etc. And the person mentioned theocracy. Have we tried theocracy, or is it irrelevant to us? And again, I want us to remember that I was going to give something to tell us the role of the family, etc., that gives you dominion of humanly perfect system. Because on the long run, whoever comes to say that he is coming to rule at any level to local government must take an oath. And by the time we take the oath, we say, so help me God. Which God? Which God that kills? God of hypocrisy? God of lies? My previous speaker from Canada just simply said, you do voting from the basket. What is all these big, gigantic systems? Because we are suspicious, because our consciences have no God. As victims, let Nigerian elections. Stop killing ourselves, because if the women, mothers get angry, we will end up in cursing Nigeria. Well, we cannot do so. Because we have the conscience not to kill our generation that we have nurtured. And therefore, let us realize that the conscience of our mothers, I will stop like a mother, not academic or political actor. Because when we ask for character, electoral character, ethics, when I was the chairman of JMPP, everybody was against me. Why should we put ethics? But if you cannot defend the word conscience and character in the electoral form, it is not there for vote buying and etc., then we have to accept there is a failure in the humanity in Nigeria. And being an example for God to redeem the world to sanity in righteousness, we have to realize the word righteousness, the word justice, the word goodwill, the word humane leadership. And finally, I want to say that Mr. President is the political father to everybody. Mr. Governor is the political uncle to everybody in the state. The local government, the legislator, of course, is an uncle to everybody, wherever he is representing. And the local government chairman is a political cousin, because we are related to one another in the local government. The family, the role of the family in raising the standard of conscience and character in Nigeria is indispensable and must be considered with this group. We are going academic and philosophically, and that cannot be removed. I wish us good transformation from within, because I know we are teachable, we are changeable, we are developable, we are transformable. Or do we have the capacity of this? Do we have capacity to do all this? I'm asking them, we are interacting before I sit down. Do you have the capacity to be changeable? Answer me now. Do you have the capacity of being teachable? Being teachable. Do we have the capacity to be developable? And do we have the capacity to be transformable from this shameful situation of dishonest politics in Nigeria on behalf of Africa? Thank you.
Thank you. A round of applause for Mama, the mother of the nation, former presidential aspirant and candidate, Dr. Sarah Jubril. Mr. Chairman, we have a distinguished senator in the House from Kaduna State. He's from the Aminu Kano tradition. He's also from our own tradition. And we have come a long way in the trenches. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to bring to the microphone an eminent Nigeria Senator Shehu Sani. A round of applause for him, please. Senator Shehu Sani.
Mr. Chairman, other distinguished members of the high table, other invited members, ladies and gentlemen. It is a honor and a privilege to be given the opportunity to chip in a little on a very important issue, which I believe is critical and crucial to the survival of democracy, and also survival of Nigeria as a nation. I will go straight to the point on the involvement of the National Assembly on the issue of electronic transmission of results. There are three issues here. The issues raised was that there may be incapacity on the side of the NCC on the issue of the transmission of results. Well, it will interest us to understand that the current figure in the banking system has it that there are over 112 active bank accounts in Nigeria. And not for once has the banking system raised issue of the inability to transmit transaction, whether it is withdrawal or deposit, because of network, not once. So we have more bank accounts in Nigeria than we have registered voters in Nigeria. So if it is not a problem for our banking system, it should not be a problem for INEC. Secondly, I wonder how feasible it is to graft the National Assembly in the process of transmission of result. From my own little knowledge of what happens in the National Assembly, is that a week before the national elections, the National Assembly is empty. People, members, senators and reps pull back to their constituencies, struggling and fighting for their political life. So I wonder which one will happen. Will they abandon their own political processes to come to the National Assembly and wait for directive from INEC to issue whether to approve or not to approve? I wonder how that is going to work. So 2 weeks before the national elections and 2 weeks after the national elections, there is virtually nobody in the National Assembly. And on matters of election, where there should be 24-hour presence, I wonder how that is going to work. On the third note, those who authored the involvement of National Assembly in electronic transmission of results did it with the clear intention of giving the ruling party that has the majority in the National Assembly the decision whether to approve or not to approve a result of an election that has been conducted by an electoral empire guaranteed and mandated by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The point is, let's create a scenario. INEC transmitted result, and they are waiting for Ahmed Lawan and Bajamiela. The issue will be brought to the floor of the National Assembly, the Senate, where I'm familiar with, and the House of Reps. And then a vote will be put on the table. An election has been conducted by INEC with the 2 or 3 major political parties with their presidential candidates. And then Ahmed Lawan and Bajamiela convened the National Assembly, for which their party has lost election. And then a voice vote is taken. Those who... So you can can imagine the scenario. So once you have a voice vote, and the majority of those in the seats are members of the ruling party, they will say nay. And what will happen to democracy in Nigeria? So I think this is a real battle for democracy in Nigeria. It is for those in the civil society to continue to mobilize Nigerians to reject and also name and shame those legislators who sacrifice their conscience, who mortgage their conscience to vote against the direct electronic transmission of result. On the last note, we cannot have the country we aspire and dream for if we don't have a process of electing leaders that is credible. When you have a process where people buy votes, people buy nominations, all what you have is transactions. There's a statement I made very clearly. Before people get elected from the primary levels, they pay the party escorts. And if party executives collect money from candidates, it is justification that the ordinary citizens on the street will have to demand to be paid before they vote their candidates. That's a fact. So the monetization of the system will continue to make it impossible to have leaders that are credible, but leaders that have deep pockets and that can buy their positions in office. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, distinguished Senator Shehu Sani. That was a very strong one. Without much ado, we are from the MBA, a friend and comrade, and the chairperson of their public interest section, representing the Nigeria Bar Association and himself here. Dr. Monday Ubani is hereby invited to make his intervention briefly. Dr. Monday Ubani. A round of applause for him, please.
Thank you very much, Ni. The chairman, distinguished Nigerians that are here on the high table, distinguished Nigerians, members of the press, I want to clearly align myself with all the beautiful submissions that have been made, both by the chairperson, the keynote speaker, Professor Utomi, Chief Mike Ezekome, the mother of the nation. All of them have spoken so well, including my friend from America who is practicing there. They have said all that needed to be said concerning this issue of electronic transmission of results. And let me say this, if there is anyone in that house that is clearly against the electronic transfer of our results, I think Nigerians should regard that person as our #1 enemy. It goes without saying. But beyond the issue of electronic transmission of results, which Prof himself has raised, there are so many other contending issues that we have to also pay attention to. And I've said it both on channels, television, and many of the other media, that unless we address the issue of packs of office, what our political office holders come into when they get into office, it will be practically impossible for Nigeria to have free, fair, and credible election. And quote me, until Jesus comes, Nigeria may never experience free and credible election until we address the issue of what these guys come into when they come into office. A governor stays 2 or 3 months, is already a multi-billionaire. A local government chairman comes in, the next place to own a property is Lekki. The president can buy the entire world. I mean, we have presidents in America, when they leave office, they cannot even afford house. Where they live is on mortgage arrangement. But here in Nigeria, the moment you finish political office, the moment you exit political office, you remain unless something happens. They are all made billionaires. And so we need to, because of our weak institutions, the National Assembly, the State House of Assembly do not, really carry out checks and balances that the Constitution itself has made provision for in order to ensure that these guys stick to what they elected to do. Governors are toying with our money, with issue of security vote, and I thought by this time we would have stopped it. Up to now, these guys are making so much money. In some states, some governors collect up to 1 billion monthly as security vote. They are also toying with issue of local government allocation. As I speak to you, there is no single governor in Nigeria today that is free from the allegation of tampering with local government money. Despite when they conduct the so-called elections at the local government level, they are still dealing with the money at the local government. And so even issue of contract, there is no standard. Somebody can say 1 kilometer road, 1 billion, another one, 5 billion, 6 billion. There is no standard in Nigeria. So all the avenues of stealing money are out there. And as long as we don't address it, and we think that the issue of electronic transmission will solve our issue of election problem, it may not. Because these guys come into big money. Nigeria has become a big ATM for them. And immediately they come in, they will not allow any electoral process that guarantees fairness. And that is the truth. So until Jesus comes, let us address the issue of what these guys get into. The kind of money they have access to. The way they have access to our treasury. If you don't address it, no matter what you do, in terms of electronic transmission, in terms of electronic voting, they will manipulate the system. Quote me. Let us look into that direction. And I know that one day, this country will come out of all the issues that are, bedeviling this country. In terms of slavery, look at what happened in Zambia. One young man has come 5 years, and 5 times he contested. They were calling him all manner of names because he read economics. But today, he has become the president of that country. It can happen in Nigeria. And I really praise these men that have remained very consistent in this struggle. They have remained with the people. But I know that Nigeria will never remain the same. One day, something will happen in this nation that will enthrone the kind of leadership all of us desire. And when it does happen, Nigeria shall be free. Nigeria shall be free. Nigeria shall be free one day. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Another round of applause for him, please, ladies and gentlemen. Please, another round of applause for him. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Please, I want to call on a gentleman, a chairman of a political party, Akalaku, the chairman of the ADC, Mr. Chief Ralph Onwoso.
Let me first of all greet our father here, His Excellency Chukwuemeka Ezife, Okwadike Buku. I want to stand on existing protocol. I just flew in now. I'm coming from a war front. You know that the election is going on in Anambra State. And just to
that Ezefe added blockchain to it. But I say, why don't we try democracy? Government of people with honor. And that is why we're here, because we're all people of honor. We have stood up, and I have learned how to stand for what is right. I may be sitting, but I stand for what is right. And until we all know that we must stand for what is right, we will not realize the kind of rubbish that is going on in our country today. Nigeria, we say, is 61. Nigeria is not 61, if you ask me. And that is why we're here. The Abiku story is the story of Nigeria. Born in 1960, died in 66, born again, died in 70. You know the story. It kept going on until 1999 when this new baby was born. And thankfully, this baby was put together by people like the Honorable Professor Attahiru Jega here. So in the past 21 years, we have been going through this process. People like Dr. Raymond Dekwesi have put in their best, and more will come. So we'll keep doing this practice as we're doing it. I am not a person with disabilities. Even though I sit on a wheelchair, I refuse to be a person with disabilities. But I also represent people living with disabilities. The reason why I'm saying I'm not disabled is because the system has designed itself to want to make me disabled, but I refuse and I say no. I got in here, the staircases were there, there's an alternative door that would have led me, but I said I must go in there. That is how stubborn I am. And that is what I tell you Nigerians, it is not rocket science. Electronic voting and electronic transmission is not rocket science. In 2011, sir, I engaged you, Professor Jega, remember? And we said this thing was possible. If you can draw money from any part of this country, if you can use your ATM at any part of this country, I call on all those banks that are making so much profit. Give us your ATM machines on election day. Go with your ATM card. I will tell you the design. It is not rocket science. And I add that the SFA's blockchain technology. It will not cost us money. My classmate, Bayo Sani, is the current MD. Is the current MD of there's a technology company, I remember their name. So it is, and they push this blockchain thing. Sir, we can do it. And with the civil society, with the political parties, we must force INEC to do it. INEC going to National Assembly to ask for permission when its name is Independent National Assembly is a fraud on its own. That is the beginning of the fraud. Why should I mean, my name is Chike, and then I'll come here and tell you to give me permission to use my name, Chike. Now. I'm not a bastard. I am a Nigerian. And I know that my name is Chike Okogu. So when I come and I tell you that my name is Chike Okogu, take it. That is my name. INEC, go and answer your name. That is your name. On a parting note, INEC should know. Just like Senator Sani said, China Achebe in his book said, when the Eleke bird has learned to fly without perching, the hunters too have learned to shoot without missing. Nigeria is behaving like gorillas in the jungle. If gorillas knew how to send text messages using phones, we are not going to chop bushmeat again until our leaders know that the world has moved on. And that soldier who was flogging a youth copper did not realize that it was this tool that saved the youth copper and sacked that soldier. Nigerians will be saved with this tool, and I rest my case. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. A sound round of applause. Thank you very much. Thank you, Doctor. May I humbly call on the wife of the former Minister of Finance, Adamu Chiruma, Haja Inna Chiruma, Inna Maria Chiruma. Thank you very much. Oh, she was also a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So you see, doing one. Fantastic.
Our chairman, members of the National Consultative Front, and distinguished Nigerians, I wish us happy 61st independence celebration. But what are we celebrating? Are we celebrating democracy? We won our independence 61 years ago. Can we really say that we are independent? Can we say we are independent? Because our elections, we all know that our elections are not free and fair. And I thought that the introduction of the electronic transmission of results will help solve our problems. At the moment, people want to contest elections, and people will ask you, do you have money to contest elections? Because winning elections in Nigeria is all about having money. you go, you buy votes, you pay electoral officers, you pay security agencies because you want to win elections. And for me, we are not getting the right leaders for this country. Because people that want to contribute to the development of this country must have what it takes to help develop this country. But for me, people look for political offices just to go there for the sake of occupying glamorous offices. They have nothing to offer. We are 61 years today when we get our independence. Can we really say that we have reached that level? We have not. Development in this country is maybe 50 years back. We cannot say we've achieved anything with the independence we got, because people that are ruling us are not independently elected. They are not. Therefore, the issue of electronic voting, I think it should be taken seriously. Nigerians that have this country at heart, Nigerians that believe in progress and development of this country must really look at this issue of transmission of electoral results electronically, because it will help our democracy. At the moment, our election, it's not credible. We conduct elections and then you go home. Tomorrow you see the results differently. You will hear that this person has won, but tomorrow the result has changed. And somebody made mention of our legislative, our court system, our judiciary. They are not also helping in the development of democracy in Nigeria. So I'm appealing to Nigerian youth, because for me, I feel the leaders of this country have failed our youth. Our youth must come together. They must come together and think of the future of this country, because the leaders have failed. We have failed. Therefore, the youth must come together and see how we can rescue this country and then have good and credible democracy. Good and credible democracy, not contrived people that will go and win elections and they will have nothing to offer for this country. We are not progressing, we are not developing, we are going backwards. Thank you very much.
Distinguished former Minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Architect Ezekiel Eto, is going to come and do some quick thanks. Just 1 minute, Mr. Chairman. We have Architect Ezekiel all the way from Uyo.
Was 24 million, and then he moved it to 3 hours. That's 36 million. Please, can we stand up and just clap for this man? Thank you, thank you, thank you.
any other thing I would say would be an anticlimax. For me, this is more than enough. Please, for the new Nigeria, be willing to make sacrifices. Politicians put their mouth where they put their money where their mouth is. But we want to go on social media ranting and then expect Nigeria to change. We have to be willing to take this thing. The kingdom of God suffers violence, and the violent take it by force. The time has come when we have to say we need to sell one car. We need to put one house out. We need to support this movement. We can't just sit down and be talking. The time has come when we must make hard sacrifices. Thank you, sir, and God bless you.
Thank you, architect. Permit me to recognize the presence of Tokumbo Okonga, Canadian immigration practitioner and commissioner of oath and affidavit, province of Ontario, Canada, and Mr. Shagun Showumi from Ogun State. Please, a round of applause for these individuals. Before I call on Atoye, that is Ariyo, please let me ride on the same position that architect has just mentioned. There's this word that is being used in the media circle. They say you perform investigative journalism. Even Mr. President mentioned it in his address to the nation today. Here we have a very consistent media practitioner. I remember with nostalgia, I was in Ondo, Ondo state elections, and then Edo elections. Dr. Raymond Tokwensin, I made a pronouncement that we are going to organize a new office in Ondo. It will amaze you to know that Dr. Raymond Tokwensin took me up on that matter. I didn't even know. He followed me after the election in Edo. He followed me to Ondo. He was trying to see whether really we are going to inaugurate the NCP office in Ondo. He was right there by himself, and he sent his crew free of charge. I was not PDP or APC at that time. I was just ordinary or the National Conscience Party. But he took pride in even the so-called political parties that are small in nature, just to make sure that democracy reigns supreme. It is at this point that I will invite Dr. Raymond Aleo Tokwensin, our very lovable media practitioner of par excellence, who has stood by us in every standard of the struggle for Nigeria. I will pray that may God Almighty continue to give him long life so that he can see the fruit of his labor when we have an egalitarian society. Please permit me and join me in welcoming Dr. Raymond Aleo Tokwensin to the podium.
Chairman of this occasion, Professor Attahiru Jega, eminent personalities here gathered, our beloved mothers and sisters here present, please allow me to stand on existing protocols. Permit me to join millions of Nigerians to greet and salute Nigerians on the occasion of the 64th anniversary of independence. Permit me to also recollect and remember the events of 1st October 1960, when we as young children were looking forward to a very prosperous, a country flowing with milk and honey. And 61 years later, as this country actually flowed with milk and honey, it's bloodshed everywhere. It is pains everywhere. We are confronted with the division of the country. We are having clamors for disintegration of the country. Brothers and sisters who lived in peace without even realizing any differences amongst them are today pulling apart, asking for new republics. I verily know that part of the reasons for this clamor for disintegration is injustice, it's lack of fairness, it's lack of appreciation of the positions of our brothers and sisters, or recognition of the fact that we are originally brothers and sisters. And all of this has root in our selection process or election process. We are not able to properly elect the people that should keep the country together. We are in dear need today of a united Nigeria. I was born into one united Nigeria. I'm committed to this one indissoluble Nigeria, and the rest of my life, I will want to be able to be identified as a Nigerian. Please don't break this country. We are all gathered here to discuss electronic transmission of results. We are all gathered here to add our voices, our servants who have now believed that they are our masters, continue to foist on us situations that do not help us in any way. The world today is driven by technology. People are going to space to, even in the next couple of years, to be spending holidays and come back. And we are still quarreling over whether elections should be electronically transmitted or not. We are still asking ourselves, can we or can we not, only because we want to take undue advantage? Injustice. In 2015, INEC came up with biometric registration of voters, came on, and since 2015, in spite of the teething problems that we have had, election after election, they have attempted to improve on them. So even if we say it's a learning curve, the name Independent National Electoral Commission has emphasis on independent. It is not subject to anybody's whim and caprice. And so said the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. During the last 2019 elections, there were allegations here and there that the People's Democratic Party insisted that elections, INEC, really had results electronically transmitted. The Supreme Court, in its wisdom, said that electronic transmission of results was not included in the Electoral Act, in spite of the fact that INEC has the right, according to the guidelines and the law, to determine what mode of transmission and conduct of election should take place. So don't let this opportunity come in. A few people that have grabbed power illegitimately are now determined to further destroy the foundation of our unity. They are determined to ensure that parts of this country are thrown outside Nigeria, and they have a right to legitimate determination of their future. So I want to urge INEC to go ahead and exercise their constitutional powers. And the ordinary citizens of Nigeria must back them. I must stand by them. They don't need the permission. Act or no act. Act or no act. National Assembly members, Nigerians, call them back. Withdraw them from the National Assembly if they will not do the things that first and foremost threaten the foundations of the unity of this country. There must be justice. There must be fairness. There must be inclusiveness. God bless you all. Thank you very much.
A round of applause for the Ezomo. Chief Raymond Dokwesi. We'd like to thank you for that delivery. Mr. Chairman, as requested, we have on the call, I need to quickly bring to you that we still have on Zoom eminent Nigerians who have been patiently listening to us. And then we have, they are still on call, former Minister Obieze Kwisili, Oludare Ogunlana. We also have in the house, I think, Professor Kingsley Mohalu. We have here Madam Josephine Anini, former minister. I could see her a while ago. Yes, she's still on call. I don't know whether she will be intervening. Iyom Josephine Anini, a former minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, is still on call. Then we have Professor Chidi Odinkalu, still waiting, and so on and so forth. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, by the permission of the chairman, I think we're about to bring on a veteran on electoral reform. He's going to speak for 2 minutes. And that's our own comrade, Ariyo Atoye, to come and sharpen the perspective that have been laid on ground here today. Comrade Atoye, please. Comrade Atoye. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good evening, our leaders, and stand on existing protocols. I also want to join those who have celebrated the chairman emeritus to also inform Nigerians that he has also donated a lot of airtime to good governance, including asking young people to come to speak free of charge on the issue of electronic transmission of results and other issues that affect our nation. So I want to say a very big thank you to you, sir. I just want to quickly just alert Nigerians and everyone here on what is actually going on. The National Assembly, especially the Senate, is not interested in passing this electoral bill. So I just want us to be aware of this. What is going on is a criminal conspiracy. They deliberately inserted Section 50 sub 2 and put NCC, as a condition, including themselves. From what Senator Shehu Sani said, and from what our own Akwaba Vigi said, you will know that when this bill is transmitted with the provision of the Senate, the president will decline to assent to it. So when the president returns it to the National Assembly, then it will be very late to do it again this year because they'll be dealing with Appropriation Act. So the plot is that they will now push it to next year, after which it will be caught up in murky water of politics. So I want to alert Nigerians to what is actually going on. I also want to tell Nigerians that these 14 persons are going to the UK to harmonize this bill, UK. So it's important that Nigerians are aware of what's the kind of criminal activities that is taking place in our nation, that people want to harmonize our electoral bill are going to the UK to do that. And for also to just pass this information, that my organization, we wrote a letter to NCC that NCC should apologize to Nigeria and withdraw the statement they made on the floor of the House of Representatives. It will shock you that the same NCC that the Senate has put in this electoral bill wrote to us and said that we will be investigating the statement our officials made. AIT graciously displayed that letter because we made it available. So the Senate that put NCC didn't invite NCC. It was the House of Representatives that invited NCC, that didn't make NCC as a condition. So Nigerians should understand the interplay of what is going on. So the summary of everything is a criminal conspiracy. This Ninth National Assembly is not interested in passing this bill, especially a section of it, probably the ruling party-led section of it. What they want to do is horse trading. They want Section 50 sub 2 of the Senate to pass, while in the mode of primaries, which is direct primary of the House of Representatives to pass. So that's the two horse trading currently they are trying to do and to undermine Nigerians. So Nigerians must stand up and insist that it is only the version of that of House of Rep that must sail through in the Electoral Act, and also the two modes of primaries. So until we're able to do that and insist that they have to do this, then it's going to be difficult for us to have what we are looking for. And also finally, I would like to tell our Nigerians who are in the UK that if these 14 men and women decide to come to the UK, make life a bit, very comfortable for them. You understand what I'm talking about? I say comfortable for them, because one thing is this: you can't go to another land to undermine your country. So I want to thank everyone here, but this is just the beginning. We have to insist that the right thing is done, and we have to tell them that they don't have the right to undermine this Electoral Act. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you very much, Comrade Atoye Ario. We still have in the house, we want to finish with those here so that we can go on Zoom. Because we have waiting, Josephine Anini, Professor Kingsley Mohalu, Dr. Ezekwesili has just spoken, Professor Chidi Odinkalu, Chief Precious Elikima in the US, very supportive of this program. That's Chief Precious Elikima, Professor Remi Shonaya, and co. So we have a veteran, a distinguished Nigerian, both Igbo, Hausa, and Yoruba, Honorable Dr. Olu Usim Wisin, who has been hosting our Secretariat Harness in the last 2 months, giving us great support towards this program. Spent so much. I want to bring her to the podium to come and speak to Nigeria. Dr. Olu Usim Wisin, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, it's an honor to be amongst you. And I'm standing on all existing protocol. I cannot start talking until I thank my big brother, His Highness Raymond Dokwesi. I remember when I came back from US, I left everything. I said I'm coming to see how this nation will move forward. I've been in Abuja for almost 30-something years in Abuja. We made Abuja what it is today, even though they don't remember us. Honestly, my big brother here, when I was running for House of Rep, my God, he advertised me like, hey, I was like the presidential candidate for NDP after I left PDP, being the pioneering chairperson of PDP USA, Texas, Dallas. I was the pioneering chairman. When I came back, I thought I was going to be one of the people that would make Nigeria a beautiful place, like America that we went there to sojourn. Well, somehow, because of the electoral, some people from the INEC came to me to give me paper that I would just sign and they will call my name. I said, no, me I fear because you call my name forever. I will be afraid that, what if they discover that I signed something, I gave you people some money, and I became House of Rep. My goodness, my conscience will never allow me. I would die there. Every time I see people talking, I will be shaking. I will not be able to do anything. So I didn't do it, so I didn't win. I came out again in 2011. I ran for Senate, Federal Republic of Nigeria, FCT. I came again. I ran under SDP.
AIT and AIT especially, they promoted me as if I was even the presidential candidate, which we didn't have. At the end of the day, Mago enter Amu. If they go recount it, they will see that I worked more than Philip Adoda and everybody, whoever is there today. But thank God I'm still alive and I'm still breathing. Staying this, when they now asked me that I was going to say something. In fact, if what I wrote down, if I say it, my God, we won't have time. But to cut the long story short, it's not because I'm a Christian, but I want anybody here to read the book of Judges 19. When we read the book of Judges 19, you will see the drama playing up there. The drama playing up there, you have a master, you have a Levite, you have a concubine, you have some other people who came. A Levite came and they gave him a place to stay. Some men came that they want to rape the Levite. The men want to rape the man. And the masters there said no. Let them give them his virgin daughter, a woman. Let them give them that the Levites who have a concubine, let them throw them, a woman. It's easy for people, men, to throw women into gallop. Well, at the end of the day, they begged them and they threw the concubine to these men. They ravished her, they raped her, they terrorized her. She died. When she died, what happened? The Levite took this concubine, cut her limb by limb into pieces, which is what is happening to women in this nation. Cut them piece by piece and send the body of this woman into 12 regions. At the end of the day, what happened? No justice. The country silent. Israel silent. Which is what is happening now. We cannot continue to be silent while they are ravaging us. While we have the National Assembly, we have everybody who should talk for us. Nobody is talking for us. So I don't want this, our summit, to be a talk show. We are tired of talking. Somebody have to lead us to this promised land. We are tired. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Before we quickly go to the Zoom, we still have like about 45 minutes left on our live program. I would like to recognize and call to the podium Haja Zainab Maina, CON, former Honorable Minister of Women Affairs. She is gently seated on that other side of the aisle. Please, ma, you have the floor on this aisle. Thank you.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. Your Excellency, the Chairman and Co-Chair of this occasion, my distinguished colleagues, brothers and sisters on the high table, and also on the other side of the hall. I am very lucky today. Normally, I feel shy to speak when I go to gathering now because I'm getting older now. But when I was young, I used to be like a parrot. Anywhere I go, everybody will hear me. And I say so many things, whether it makes sense or not, but I know at the end of the day, you will pick some useful things out of what I said. I choose to be asked to come to the floor first and foremost to commend the organizers, that is the National Consultative Front. But above all, to thank my sister who invited me to this gathering because she asked me, come along. That is my twin sister Hajia in Churuma. Actually, I was reluctant. That was why I came late. But she kept on calling me, and I'm glad I came because the people that I find here are my very, very old friends and acquaintances, especially Pat Utomi and Professor Attahiru Jega, who gave me an award when he was the chairman of INEC because of our contribution when I was Minister of Women Affairs on the issue of election and affecting women participation and so on. We have run so many programs with him. And Professor Jega, actually, I don't know, he's a very, very straightforward man. Some few weeks ago when he was appointed, I called him personally to congratulate him. And I'm happy that I met him here. And my good friend, Mike is old friend of those young days. And of course, my Oga, Raymond Okwesi. Anytime, any day, give me Raymond Okwesi. On this kind of occasion, he's a very good leader. We have worked several times for many years with him on several projects. And of course, this man is a very generous man. That is why they think they can break him, but you know, God, if God has built you, nobody can break you. So I congratulate the organizers. So many things have been said, and I align myself with all the, you know, issues raised on the issue of electronic voting machine, which we all know is possible. Because I could remember seeing even on social media. These days I don't watch televisions more, because I'm sorry to say most of the time what is there, you know, it makes you cry. To me, because sometimes there is no truth in what they say. So I just think they are just deceiving us. But there was a time I heard that the INEC chairman himself said they can use electronic voting machine. I can recall that. So when I heard that there are some issues being raised at the floor of National Assembly, of course, what else do you expect? This group, this National Assembly, they are just there, what Hausa man call Amshil Shata. When they greet you, they say, ah, it's white. When they say it's white, they say, oh, it's very, very white. When even if it is black. So they are just trying to deceive us. So I'm calling on the civil society, my primary constituency, to rise up. Chike, you are here, and mobilize your people to make sure that Nigerians are educated and they can go to National Assembly floor and make sure that they lobby seriously until, if you did before, continue to do it. You have to put on a lot of pressure. In civil society, we can never put enough pressure. We always give fire until what we want is given to us. So please, I'm calling on us, and I want us also to remember whatever we are doing in Nigeria, there is no country that developed without the contribution of women. Women and youth, these two groups, when you leave them out, you are doomed. And because women, they let them disagree, but I believe it and I know it and they will see it. That women should be carried along. If you want things to be done honestly and sincerely, the reason why we are missing it along is because we don't give women enough opportunity. We always push women to the background. This time around, women must be involved if you want things to succeed and if you want Nigeria to be a great country, because they contribute. We spend our sweat, we raise our voice, and because we are mother, God listens to us, like Sarah said. Anybody who works with women and works sincerely, you find that you are going to achieve results. I congratulate all of us for having an opportunity. Like I said, I just got up to speak so that, because I can't see myself coming here, meeting all the eminent people here and going out quietly. In other, I wouldn't have mother, but I need to speak because everybody that is here, most of them are my people. I thank each and every one of you. God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Ajia Zainab Mina, CON, former Minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Mr. Chairman, I quickly will have to recognize some youth leaders in the House. Interim Chairman, National Youth Leaders of Political Parties in Nigeria, Forum, and ADC National Youth Leader. His house is here in the House. Please stand up for recognition. You are welcome. We also have the youth leader of the NC Front in the House, Mr. Jude Ferromi. You are welcome. We also have here the representative of the Nollywood, Lady Barbara Odo. You are welcome. Lady Barbara Odo, representing the Nollywood. We still have on call Chief Elikema, Zoom team, please. Can we quickly take Dr. Chief Elikama, Dr. Timi Agari, Professor Chidi Odinkalu, and Chief Precious Elikama. Any of them? I've seen some indication on the call. Can we have any of them? Zoom, please. Any of them who wants to talk now? Well, we must thank Barrister Adewale Adebayo for helping to put this together wonderfully with huge donation, and is ready to do more to save Nigeria. A round of applause for him, please. Barrister Adewale Adebayo. Because we don't want to cut them off, if we have any of them who want to intervene, Mr. Chairman has graciously given us time to bring them. I know Professor Shunaya is still there. Uludari Ogunlano is there. Dr. Obi Ezekwesili is still there. I think Professor Kingsley Moalu is there. Professor Chidi Odinkalu, Chief Precious Elikama. I don't know who you are bringing to us. Malam Tanko, can you please help us, as they may not, the Zoom team. Who do we have? Okay. Yes, why we are gathered here has been well established. It's a national political summit on the state of the nation, especially electoral reforms in Nigeria, and it's expected that we'll be launching a major coalition, and by consultation, the co-chair, Elikima is standing by. Chief Precious Elikima from the US likes to speak for 2 minutes. Yes, can we have voice, please? Chief Precious Elikima.
Thank you very much. But Nigeria is in a very precarious situation. On one hand, the Supreme Court had said use of electronic system card reader is a mere guideline. On the other hand, INEC is saying we can conduct elections with electronic systems and transmission of results. So the politicians will go to court, and the Supreme Court's decision is law, that it is a mere guideline. So the entire work, the fulcrum of the work, now has to be with the National Assembly to make it a law to transmit results. It is very clear, crystal clear, that the National Assembly may not do it. So it is now the duty of the people. Why it is the duty of the people? The school fees of the children is determined by who we elect. You can't just walk into a plane because somebody says you can be a pilot. Nigerians have never elected their leaders. So we have only one solution. We need to occupy the National Assembly. We need to occupy the street. Nobody should speak grammar to say you need to elect people. You need to go and meet the people. You need to go and talk to people. Nigerians are vulnerable. The people, you can't meet them because the results will be written. I am an infantry politician on the street. They will write the results. There's nothing you can do. They said, write the results. When we go, we will defend it at the court. But this is the time, if Nigerians take the decision to occupy the streets. Look, young boys, NSAS came, and all governors who said there is no way to employ people started saying they can employ people. Nigerians should understand that their employment is at stake, their business is at stake, their school fees is at stake, their food to eat from morning to night is at stake. And so we must occupy National Assembly. We must start recalling them back. Only that can change the situation. You cannot get it free of charge. There is no free lunch anywhere. We speak grammar from morning till night, they will not do it. I don't take what INEC is saying, they will do it. They know that when they do it, the Supreme Court law has not changed. So nobody should be deceived with INEC law. Nobody should also say that Nigerians will go and vote because as you are voting, they have written the results. And the results is what they will say. So the only thing we have now is to go and make sure that hold all the National Assembly members, senators, House of Reps, hold them tight. They can't go to anywhere until they change. They can't go to their houses. They can't go to anywhere. Their children cannot go to anywhere. Nobody can go to anywhere until they free Nigeria. The only thing that can free Nigeria is the day Nigerians start voting for who will lead them. When we start, look, if we can have secured a card reader and we are transmitting the results, while it may not be the solution to all the problem, it would have solved 75% of the problem. Let us deal with this remaining 25% of vote buying and all that. That is not much of a problem. But I can tell you that we need to take action now. We need to take action now. I want to thank you people and wish us a continuous good deliberation. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Precious Elikama, all the way from the US. We'd like to thank and recognize Malam Kazim Balarabe Musa. We recognize your presence. Thank you for coming. A round of applause for him. We still have on call Dr. Timi Ebi Kuripamo. I don't know if she wants to speak. Timi Ebi Kuripamo, if she likes to speak. Otherwise, we come back here because it's really a serious business for us to set up a coalition. And by consensus, the coalition is to be led by the two co-chairmen of this event. They will be leading us, and they will be inviting more hands into the coalition. So that is the general consensus that our co-chair that have led us today, that's Professor Attahiru Jega and Dr. Lisa Bakuba, who have to still drive this. It's not enough to have the meeting, but for them to help lead us to a stage where we say, yes, it's El Dorado. So distinguished ladies and gentlemen, do we have Dr. Kuripamo wanting to speak or anybody from, yeah? Dr. Timebi Kuripamo was former permanent secretary in Nigeria. She's abroad, and we'd like to quickly take her. Okay, well, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, because we have to begin to hand over the microphone to the chairman, who is going to give us direction as to what the coalition is going to look like, but the consensus, the template for this coalition is that the chairman, Professor Attahiru Jega, and Dr. Lisa Gbakuba SAN will be co-chair of the coalition that will be working on pressurizing the government and occupying the National Assembly and all of that to bring about electronic transfer of election results in Nigeria. That is the position. But names of other members of the other members of the coordinating committee of the coalition will be released subsequently. But our chair will have to convey a meeting where this will be well cemented. We have handed over the responsibility to the co-chair. So, do I have anyone on call? So, please note. Yes. Okay, Dr. Oludare is waiting to speak to us in 2 minutes from US, I guess. Dr. Oludare Ogunlanu, above Jordan.
Comrades, thank you very much. Let me ask this question. When are we going to end this game? I call it a game because the people in power spoke the same way we are talking today. Those who are occupying the Abuja Asorok today. You know some of them. I work with you. We travel all night. I know some faces here who have been in and out of government. They never do anything different. Some are one-time governors, senators, and ministers who never did anything different. But let me limit my contribution to what I know best: security. Our problem is not electronic or not electronic transmission. Every system comes with vulnerability. We can intercept results, we can modify it. Politicians will do whatever. They can launch denial of service to do whatever. So I will align my thought with Professor Attahiru Jega and Professor Utomi. There's a problem of leadership in this country. We are not honest to ourselves. And what we need is to advocate for strong law enforcement mechanism in such a way that there's going to be consequence for any action. Whoever that do anything wrong, falsify elections, use electoral violence, they need to be punished. So that's what we need to be talking about now. Whether we transmit electronically or not, this Yahoo Papa we have in government, I call them Yahoo Papa. They are more than hush puppy. They can do anything. I'm a professor of cybersecurity and I know what I'm talking about. That's my submission. Strong law enforcement, strong justice system, and that's what we need. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all the way from US. Ludare Ogunlanu was a former NANS president. A round of applause for him. He's a security expert now. Well, we are beginning to round up. As we have said, a coalition is to be initiated from this, and we have given the co-chairman to facilitate that coalition. Meetings of coordinating members of that coalition will be set up very shortly in consultation with Professor Utomi, Dr. Lisa Gbakuba, Professor Attahiru Jega will have to still help us so that we can build a momentum and a groundswell of support that will enable us to get what we are doing. We have gotten suggestions from US that we have to occupy the National Assembly. That is not a tea party. People have been contributing to this. So therefore, gentlemen, I think at this point, we may have to hand over back the microphone to our two leaders here. First is
point of order.
Professor Attahiru Jega will have to again talk to us, having listened to all the submissions and the way we want to proceed into engaging. Do we have anybody on the call?
Yes.
What's his name?
Colonel Bello Fadile.
Okay, Colonel Bello Fadile is on the call. Can we have him? Colonel Bello Fadile. For 2 minutes, sir. We'd like to take your intervention.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I'm happy to see this group coming up.
But the questions Nigeria will be asking, can we be trusted? Just like Professor Gulano said, can we be trusted? How are you going to convince Nigeria that this forum will not change, that this forum will lead us to the promised land, that these individuals will stand by their word and not change and change? Convince Nigerians first that you can't be trusted, following your antecedent. I know how Jega conducted the election in 2015. He didn't go to the National Assembly when he had a problem. He knows where he went to, and the issue was resolved. Can we be trusted? I thank you very much. Convince Nigerians that you can be trusted, and you have a lot of people on the grassroots to occupy the National Assembly. If you cannot convince us that you be trusted, nobody is going to follow you to the National Assembly, because halfway through, you go back home. That's what I need to contribute and tell you. I thank you very much, and I wish you success. How can you be trusted? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Colonel Bello Fadile, for your intervention. Who aspire?
Can I have the floor, please?
Hello?
Yes.
Who wants the
Can I
floor?
have the floor? Yes, Dr. Huza Jesu speaking.
From Dr. Wu?
Dr. Huza Jesu speaking.
Okay, can we have you quickly? We are rounding up. Thank you.
Can I have the floor?
Please go ahead.
Okay, fine. My concern is, I thank you very much. I appreciate the effort for coming up with this good initiative. But my concern is, we always have been leaving the grassroots empty. We have not been carrying in many of such initiatives. How do you plan to have it a kind of bottom-top approach? Because we always stay at Abuja, we stay at Lagos, Port Harcourt, we do things without consulting the grassroots, and at the end of it, the larger population are being left behind suffering. How do you plan to carry along the grassroots? That's my concern. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Your concern will be well addressed by the two co-chairs.
Please, fellow Nigerians, always waiting to see who will do it never gets it done. Everybody that's here is making a sacrifice to make it work. While we appreciate how you want to know how we want to do it, we're calling on you to come in and help to do it, because we're all concerned Nigerians, just like you are. Secondly, the place of pessimism is got to give way to optimism. We have a child on the theater bed. It's our child, probably our only child. It's not the time to say, will he leave? It's the time to say, he must leave. It's that positive disposition that has made a man like Chief Dokwesi to let go 36 million of his money, of our brother here to let go 2 million of his money, or Prof and the rest to let go the time that they have to do their business to be here. So I want to appeal to you. Bring your lovely ideas. National Consultative Front is for every Nigerian that has passion for a good country. So please don't wait to see how we are going to do it. Come and join us and let us do it. Nigeria must be okay. On a final note, I'm sure you must have heard about the efforts that National Consultative Front is making to give us a different approach to leadership selection, which is the presidential profiling project. You'll soon get the details. The important thing is come on board. Together we can do it. I think that Mr. Kuni, I don't know if there's any other person or we're rounding up because of time.
Just quickly want to bring Nollywood, 1 minute please. Nollywood representative Lady Barbara Odo to speak to us in 1 minute before we go back to the chair to wrap up.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, and compliments of the season. I would have said happy independence, but I do not know how happy this is for everyone seated here today. My name is Barbara Odo, and I'm glad to be part of this struggle. It is a struggle because it has persisted. However, I do know that given the tenacity that has, trended for a while, that has brought us to this point, I know we're not about to give up. I'm speaking from a practical perspective, so to speak. Yes, I'm a Nollywood actor. Yes, I am this and that. But I have also contested for the federal House of Representatives elections in Lagos State sometime in 2015. And if I started to tell you about my experiences, we would not live here today. But I just want to tell you that subliminally, we have created this alibi. Senator Shehu Sani said, Chief Ezokume said we enthroned. We enthroned. I do not believe that these people actually have, I call them these people because to me they are faceless people, because without us, they would not have a face. We are the real people. We are the ones who have the power. But we have sold our birthrights just for a pot of porridge. What do I mean? I mean, if the rights of the people are denied them by downplaying their votes, what would you expect? What would we expect? And I dare to say it is not their, it's actually not their fault. It is our fault. It is our fault. When I was contesting, there was something called budget for INEC. Budget for INEC. And I did not, I mean, that was an embarrassing. It was really embarrassing. And if people like me should actually be encouraged to come and contribute my quota or your quota to the system to make it a better place, I think things like that should begin to be erased from our mentality. It should begin to go away. I've been asked to round up. Professor Attahiru Jega, good evening, sir. You have experience. You were inside. There's a lot that you need to give back to the society. There is a lot. And I'm grateful that you're here today to be a part of this movement. And I wish us well in all of this. Thank you.
Thank you. We are going off the TV very soon, and we want the co-chair to speak immediately. Yes, Professor Attahiru Jega will be wrapping and summarizing and giving us the way forward, and then we can take some thanks from Professor Utomi, a way of giving direction. Professor Attahiru Jega, a round of applause for him, please. He has been sitting patiently.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad to have this opportunity to say a big thank you to the lead speakers, to the other contributors, and to all the participants to today's event. On behalf of the co-chair, I want to reiterate our appreciation once again for the opportunity you have given us to moderate today's discussion. It has been a day very well spent. 3 hours of discussion, very insightful contributions, and very cogent ideas about how we can engage the National Assembly on the issue of electronic transmission of results in order to ensure that the preference of Nigerians is actually brought to bear in the electoral reform process going on now in the National Assembly. But I think in the discussion we've also very clearly recognized that in addition to electronic transmission of results, there are other issues that also need to be factored both in the electoral reform process and in the larger effort to consolidate and deepen democracy in our country. Issues about candidate selection, issues about continuous improvement of the integrity of the electoral process, in particular electoral accountability by the election management body, as well as accountability by party officials and the political parties generally, as well as obligation and commitment of the citizens to improving the process and ensuring that not only do they protect their votes, but that their votes actually count. I think these are very, very important issues, many of which go beyond electoral reform. But I think the key issue we also need to bear in mind is that an election that we want to have integrity must also have an electoral legal framework that has integrity. Because electoral legal framework is the foundation for everything that all participants in the electoral process do. And that is why, therefore, demanding our representatives in the National Assembly to bring important value additions to the electoral legal framework is very, very important. And therefore, moving forward, we really need to continue to forge this alliance to have a strong and formidable partnership and a group that can help engage the National Assembly for credible electoral reform processes. In particular, the electoral transmission process, but also the other additional issues which are important in this regard. So we thank you most sincerely. Our hope is that within the next few days, the Secretariat of NCP would be able to produce a rapporteur's report, which we can now use for further discussions and engagements with all the partners and the participants in this process, and which we can then use as a basis for developing a clear strategy of engagement with not only the National Assembly, but all other stakeholders who want to pursue credible electoral reforms and have a credible electoral process in our country. I think it is very, very important that we also bear something in mind. And that is that, yes, we need to ensure that we, who are now part of this effort, actually conduct our affairs with integrity. And I think that's why the questions are arising as to how can we trust you? How can we ensure, that what you do will be representative of what the people want? I have no doubt that amongst the participants of this discussion today, both those on Zoom and those who are physically here present, we have sufficient number of credible people who are passionate, who have the honesty and the integrity, and also the belief of their convictions about the need to deepen democracy, to reform elections, and to consolidate democratic development in our country. And therefore, I believe that we should be able to act and gain the trust of the Nigerian people in ensuring that members of the National Assembly do the right thing. We need a remarkably improved electoral legal framework to enable INEC to do its job. Because if you have a weak electoral legal framework, you are already weakening INEC in terms of discharging its obligations and responsibilities. But of course, beyond that, then we can address the issue of how can we make INEC or any other organization associated with elections to be accountable in the discharge of their responsibilities. So please, let's recognize that any value addition, anything that can bring incremental positive changes in the electoral reform process is welcome. So we should not think that pursuing electronic transmission of results as a major issue is a waste of time. No. You know, there are low-hanging fruits, and clearly this is one of the low-hanging fruits in terms of improving the integrity of elections as well as consolidating and deepening democracy in our country. And we must pursue it with the diligence and the passion and the commitment that is required. So once again, I thank each and every one of you for participating, for the patience to sit for 3 hours, to not only contribute, but to also listen to others' points of view. And as we all live here, may God Almighty take everybody back to their respective destinations. And we look forward to engaging you continuously in order to actualize these lofty objectives for which we have gathered here today. Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Please, another round of applause for Professor Attahiru Jega. Thank you very much, Prof. Thank you. Thank you. Permit me to quickly recognize the presence of Professor Naji, former IPAC chairman, who is here. Please, Prof, please, can you stand up for recognition? A round of applause for him. Please, Comrade Chairman of PPN, Comrade Razak we will give us a vote of thanks immediately after Professor Pat has rounded up as quickly as possible. So, Professor, Comrade Chairman, please be on the standby. Thank you.
Well, thank you also very much. I just want to end on a note that it is not enough to just talk. The problem of our country is that we've talked and talked and talked. This is a time for action. And the first source of action is putting your money where your mouth is. We want the tomorrow that we're looking for to be run from what we contribute. Not a huge amount of money. If all of us commit to 2,000 naira every month, we will have a party that is better funded than these ones that are stealing our children's futures. As we go, we should talk to everybody we meet. Commit to 500 naira, commit to 1,000 naira a month. Let's crowdfund a new Nigeria. We can make it happen. If we can dream it, we can make it happen. A new Nigeria is possible, and we here must make it happen. Thank you.
Azak, are you where we?
Let me stand on existing courses on behalf of all members of National Consultative Front who have over the months, years, put in their resources, both financial and human. I need to thank you very much for trying to lead our nation out of the doldrum we find ourselves in. Let me thank the chairman and the co-chairman and other members of the high table for sitting diligently and contributing towards seeing a better nation or towards leading Nigeria to a better ground. Let me thank all who have been here since morning for sparing their time to come around to make sure our nation become the great nation we are before now. I would also like to thank all Nigerians, all viewers who have sat glued to their television at home, viewing all through this and listening to us all through. And especially, I would like to thank Chief Raymond Dokwesi. But without you, this occasion would not have been this successful. We hope all Nigerians, other eminent Nigerians will pick one or two things from you in the way you are seeing or you are working towards getting our nation to be a better place. Once again, I thank you all.
Thank you very much, Chief Eyowawu Rasak. Yes, time for us to wine and dine. There is food for everybody. Table will be served here, but I think there will be a brief meeting for 5 minutes later. Members of the coordinating table we have to, but now it's time for us. So we would like to thank all those who have been on Zoom. They have contributed immensely to the success of this program. We thank members of the National Secretariat, Architect Ezekiel Nyak Etok, all the way from Akwa Ibom. Yes, Dr. Malam, Dr. Tanko Salisu Yunusa, the spokesperson of the NC Front, has done wonders. We thank our media friends who have been with us and allies in this struggle. We appreciate you, members of the 4th Estate of the Realm. We thank you so much. We appreciate you. And we know that with you together we can reach the El Dorado. We thank our mothers of the nation. We thank all of you who have put in your resources and time and energy into this. The chairman has told us that the secretariat will come up with the resolution and the communique, and then that will drive the coalition. It's going to be a huge coalition, a huge, broadly constituted across party lines. It's not about PDP, it's not about APC, it's non-partisan. You have PRP in it, you have ADC in it, you have SDP in it. Non-partisan is just for us to do electoral reform. And then at the end of the day, we'll do the other thing. We are ready in the National Consultative to save Nigeria, to rescue it. And so we must form properly a solid alliance that we are building. So we thank you very much. Please feel free to go to, and take your food while they serve the high table. Please. Please, can we have someone here to take care of the high table? God bless you all. Thank you again. By the way, I am Olawale Okuni, popularly known as Veteran Chief. Thank you very much.
Thanks for checking out SYMFONI on YouTube. Please be sure to subscribe and like our videos for updates.